Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. Here we are, the next hurricane season 2023. First day of the season, June 1st. Remember, it goes from June 1st all the way through November 30th. Here are the names for the 2023 season. Arlene, Brett, Cindy, and it's a really bad year if we get down on this end of the list, down by S, T, V, and W. So hopefully we get nowhere close to that. But as far as what NOAA is predicting for the season, really what they're calling for is basically about an average season, maybe a little below average. But we say this all the time. The overall numbers don't really make a big difference because we're talking about 12 to 17 named storms, the average 14, 5 to 9 hurricanes, and 1 to 4 major hurricanes. But if one of those hurricanes affects you in a big way, it doesn't matter if it was a quiet season, it was still a bad season for you. And so really the bottom line is you prepare every season the same. You have to be prepared for that big one. And hopefully we don't get it, but you want to be prepared. So as far as the season, it typically starts out very quiet. Now we saw that last year. It was extremely quiet first part of the season, really all the way through a good portion of August as well. And that's where you're typically seeing this big ramp up in activity. But again, we have learned this over the years. You cannot really predict the season by that beginning part of the season, because once you get towards that peak and you start to really expect to see that activity, that's when you really get an idea of what kind of a hurricane season you are going to have. So really over the next several weeks, next couple of months, don't be surprised if it stays quiet. But that being said, it's first day of the hurricane season, and we already have a system to watch. We were watching this yesterday, just a disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico. This has now been classified as Invest 91. Hurricane reconnaissance plane, they're debating whether they go out to this later on this afternoon. So there's still the possibility they may fly out and investigate this area. But you do see certainly some rotation in there. You're seeing quite a bit of convection. It's small, but it's there, and it's been producing some unstable conditions over the state. That gave us some pretty strong storms yesterday, some very strong tropical downpours as we got through the afternoon. But as you look at the water vapor imagery, starts to tell that other little story with this, because we have this dry air wrapping around this system. So on that southern end, that's why you're just not seeing this really starting to blow up. It's fairly limited in the amount of moisture it can tap right now because of all this dry air that is wrapping around the system. And then as far as the wind shear is concerned, it's in an area which conditions are basically, they're somewhat favorable right now. We don't have a whole lot of strong winds over the system, but you notice as you get into the southern Gulf of Mexico, the western Gulf of Mexico, and then over the state, that's where we're seeing that stronger wind shear. And that's a big key, because as we go through the next several days, the idea is this is going to start to drift down to the south. So it moves into an area where the winds are stronger and there's drier air. So it looks like conditions are going to start to become more unfavorable as we go through the next several days. You can see, again, anytime you have these weak systems, you're going to see a big wide spread in the computer models. That's why you see some just kind of going straight on towards the east. But that idea is it's really is going to push down to the south across the southern Gulf of Mexico as we go through the coming days. So here's the Fox model picking up on this system across the northern Gulf of Mexico. And watch what happens as we go through the next couple of days. We've got those tropical downpours over us. But you see what's happening? It is just drifting down towards the south. And you see a lot of the moisture with this just kind of goes away. And that's because of the strong wind shear. And some of that dry air really starts to mix into this system. So in the long range, it doesn't look like this has a really good shot right now. If it's going to do something, it probably has to do it within the next couple of days. So we're going to keep an eye on this, and we'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.